Hello, and welcome to another installment of Cooking with Colbath. My name is Julie Colbath. I'm the coordinator of Civic Engagement in the Office of Student Life. Thanks so much for tuning in to our first episode of the fall 2020 semester. We're super glad that y'all are back. Just a reminder, the pantry is still open. I know that the University Center is closed, but we're still open by appointment only. On Wednesdays and Thursdays. So on Wednesdays, we're open from 2 to 6, and on Thursdays, we're open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So feel free to make an appointment. You can do that by emailing UM-Dearborn pantry at umich.edu, and we'll get you all set up. So today we are going to be making burrito bowls. I don't know about all y'all, but I'm a big fan of Chipotle, and sometimes I do not want to go actually go get it, but I do want to eat it. So we're gonna make our own versions today, and a lot of the primary ingredients you can find in the pantry. So I grabbed some of the stuff from the pantry, which I will show you. So we are going to be using some rice. You could easily use white rice or brown rice if you prefer. Just know that brown rice takes longer to cook. So if you're trying to plan this at a certain time, you want to make sure you buffer in a little bit of extra time if you do want to use brown rice. We're going to use some salsa. So you can make your own. It's definitely can be peak tomato season in some ways if you have a garden growing, but I'm just using jarred salsa. You can really use any brand that you'd like. We'll be using some lettuce. So I have gotten into the habit of buying these containers of lettuce. You could easily, this calls for romaine. I find these to be easier because they're already ready for me. I don't have to, they're already washed, they're already cut. And then anything I don't use, I normally put in a Ziploc bag and I freeze it to add to smoothies. But really use the green of your choice. If you don't like romaine, you could throw kale in there, spinach, anything like that. And then we'll be using a can of corn, which we have plenty of in the pantry, so please get some. We'll be using a can of black beans. If you don't like black beans, or if you don't have black beans on hand, you could also easily use pinto beans, or refried beans, whatever you would like. This calls for Roma tomatoes. I don't have fresh tomatoes on hand, so I'm going to be using a can of diced tomatoes, which you can find in the pantry. And then it has a few different toppings. So one of them is avocado. If you don't like avocado, don't add it. If you don't have avocado, don't add it. And the other is cilantro. So I know that cilantro can be a little bit polarizing for people. Some people love it, some people hate it. I don't have cilantro on hand because it's not something that I normally have in my house, so I won't be adding it. The nice thing about this recipe, super adaptable, right? If you have chicken, you can add chicken, right? For example, we have canned chicken in the pantry. I know it kind of probably looks like a can of tuna. It is chicken, I promise. You could easily open this up and put it on there, or if you already had some taco meat from the week, beef, ground turkey, anything, you can throw it on there. And I know I normally get the vegetarian burrito at Chipotle, and I love their veggies. So you could easily saute some onions and green peppers and put them on there. So I like this recipe because it's super quick, super easy, super adaptable, and especially, right, I know that we might be in a virtual format, but sometimes you're rushing between meetings and homework and class. So this is nice because then you can prep it and have it for a few days in the fridge. for you to easily heat up later. So I'm not actually really going to be cooking anything today. So the only thing that is that needs to be cooked in this recipe is the rice. I have some rice from my leftover Indian food a few days ago. So I'm just going to be using this. So I'm actually going to warm it up in the microwave. So let me just grab a tablespoon real quick. So when your rice can be like a little bit of a tricky thing to make sure that you're storing it correctly, because it can have this bacteria, right, that like you want to make sure that you're following food safety protocols so that you're not getting sick. So the moisture, so my rice doesn't get super dry, you should add a tablespoon of water or broth for every cup of rice. So I'm going to add some water to this before I put it in the microwave. So right, for example, here's a tablespoon of water. You can just pour it over there. So this calls for 1 cup of uncooked rice, which generally makes about 3 cups of cooked rice. So I'm gonna put it in my microwave. And I'm gonna start it for a minute. One thing, I almost was like, oh, I could just make rice to show you all in the microwave, but I don't normally make rice in the microwave. I normally make it on my stovetop. From the package, I didn't realize that when you cook rice in the microwave, it essentially takes the same amount of time. Because it says to cook on high for 5 minutes and then reduce setting to 50% power and microwave for 15 to 20 minutes. I feel like it cooks on the stove for 15 to 20 minutes, but it's nice, right, to be able to have that option if you don't have a stove, if you just have a microwave. You can cook rice in the microwave. One thing that I learned when I was looking up some stuff about rice today is that rice is good for about 4 days in the fridge and about 2 months in the freezer. So if you make a huge batch of rice and don't know what to do with it, you can always freeze it. Nice and warm, hasn't dried out. So it's a good way, right? Burrito bowls are a great way if you have a bunch of extra rice to use it up. So that's all set and ready. So the first step, I'm not going to necessarily go in order. So there's also this like Chipotle cream sauce that we're going to make, which is basically sour cream, like spicy sour cream. If you don't want to make it, don't worry about it. You can just add sour cream. You can add some cheese. I'm going to use sriracha because I don't have Chipotle paste. Might be good, might not be. We'll see. All right, so to make this rice different, and if you wanted to make Chipotle style rice, right, like at least the white rice, you just need some lime and some cilantro. So we could do that another time if you would like. If you want me to try it a different time, let me know, right? So as this is premiering on YouTube, there should be like a live chat on the side. Feel free to talk to me. I'm on the other end. If you're watching this after it's premiered, feel free to comment below. I love your comments. I love your questions. Somebody yesterday suggested that next time we make chicken tortilla soup. So 2 weeks from now, get excited. Chicken tortilla soup time. All right, so I'm gonna tilt y'all a little bit and then show you how to build these. Okay, reorient. So what you're gonna do is you're going to put some salsa into the rice, and that just gives it a nice flavor. So for 3 cups of rice, you want to add 1 cup of or for 1 cup of uncooked rice, 3 cups of cooked rice, you want to add 1 cup of salsa. And again, this could be salsa that you bought, it could be salsa that you made. I'm a big fan of the black bean and corn salsas, so that's what I have. But really anything will work. So we're just going to mix it around. And sometimes I like to just have salsa on hand, right? It's a good thing, especially, and not that in these days we often have people just popping by unexpectedly, but it's a nice thing, right? If you have people come over, it's easy to grab a bag of chips and a container of salsa to like serve as a snack. All right, cool. This looks yummy. It's kind of like a Mexican styled rice, I would imagine, but like a little bit easier to make. So we're gonna set that aside. So that'll be the base of our bowls. We are going to drain and rinse some of our canned goods here. Let me bring them by the sink. And then let me turn you to a sink. All right. Cool. So, I'm sorry. Again, I tried to orient myself so that y'all can hear me. I know my computer doesn't pick up the sound super well. We need to drain the corn and we need to drain and rinse the black beans. So you can easily, right, like put the corn through a strainer so that you drain it. But you can also, the way that I normally do it, if I don't need my strainer, which we will for the black beans. So I've already opened the can. I've left the ring, the top in here. Oh, sorry, there's a glare. So since I leave that in there, I normally just pour it out. Careful, you want to make sure you hold it because obviously the corn's trying to get out. Gravity. All right. Cool. Always be careful with these. Sometimes they can have really sharp edges, as I'm sure you probably know, but especially where I like started the can opener and ended it, there's a little bit of a spike. So we got those done. So here are our black beans. We are going to drain them and rinse them. So I'm just going to pour them in my strainer. And then I'm going to put some water in here because there's some black beans that you probably can't see that are on the very bottom. So I just want to get them out. And then I'm just going to pour it back in. So hopefully they'll come out of the can. You could also use a spoon or something to get them out too. All right. Okay, so the reason that we rinse beans generally is they can have like quite a bit of sodium in the preservation process and the canning process, right? So even just by rinsing them, you get rid of a good chunk of the extra salt that you don't necessarily need. Okay, cool. And like I said, I don't have any Roma tomatoes right now, so I'm just going to use diced tomatoes. I am going to drain them, but I'm going to save the liquid because I'm sure I can use it for something else. Ooh. So I'm just going to drain it into this glass container that I have. Great. It's not a lot, but I think sometimes too when you are trying to like hold things in the fridge, right? Like Sometimes I think it's nice to have a little bit of extra of the juices from the can, just to kind of like make sure it doesn't dry out and keeps its moisture in the fridge. Right, so we are going to go back to our workstation. We don't need these pinto beans. We don't need any more salsa. I'm not going to add chicken, but like I said, you definitely could. Okay, so we need our corn. I'm going to throw these beans into a bowl so that they're not leaking everywhere. Okay, cool. We will scooch you back this way. Okay, so let's see what is next. So let's make the Chipotle cream sauce quick, so then we can really just build our bowls. So sorry y'all. This is a cup of sour cream. It calls for a tablespoon of Chipotle paste, which I don't have. And then it has an asterisk saying that you can use Chipotle peppers and adobo sauce. I also don't have that. So I'm going to see if adding sriracha is cool. So I think the only thing, right, it'll potentially get the heat, right, but Chipotle peppers and Chipotle paste can be a little bit more smoky, so it might not get the smokiness of it, but that's okay. It also calls for garlic. So again, I use my minced garlic, and then it calls for lime juice. So we'll juice this lime. I also sometimes have on hand like the already like packaged little things of lime and lemon juice, so that if you don't have these on hand, then you can easily use those. And it calls for some salt. So we'll make that. Let me grab a whisk. And if you don't have a whisk, you can easily use a spoon, you could use a fork, you could use anything. Alright, so it calls for a tablespoon of Chipotle paste. So paste is normally, as you can imagine, like thick, pretty thick. And so it says you can substitute 2 tablespoons of Chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. So I'm going to try to put 2 tablespoons of sriracha in here. It's always good to, especially with spicy things, to, you know, go slow, because you can always add more, but it's hard to come back from it. Obviously, you could just add like more sour cream. So I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons. If we want it more spicy, we will add more later. Okay, so then we need a clove of garlic. So normally, if you watch any other ones, like I said, I normally do like a teaspoon of minced garlic to a clove of garlic. So that's a teaspoon. We need some salt, so I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. My container does not want to work with me today. I'm always a little bit afraid to like pour things straight over a bowl, because when they get out of control, it gets out of control quickly, and then you end up adding more than you wanted. So sometimes it's good to do it over a different bowl just to make sure if it does pour out, you're not like swimming in the salt. So I'm going to add some salt. And then, let's move this quick. We are going to juice our lime. So I already washed this. Again, make sure to wash your produce, regardless of if it's organic or not, just to make sure that all the germs are off it, especially these days, right? Like, people are touching things, and I just want to make sure that everyone's staying safe. So we are, since limes don't really have seeds that are like big, like lemons, I'm just going to juice it right into the bowl. So I'm just going to squeeze it. I think this lime's a little bit older, which is sometimes good for juicing, right? Because other, sometimes like not as ripe limes can be a little bit stiff. And so when you try to juice them, you might not get a lot out if you're trying to do it this way. If you have like a juicer or something, you could definitely use that, either like one of the machines or one of the like press type juicers, right, where you put the lime or lemon in and then squeeze the handles. So we're just gonna put this whole lime in here. And if you, I know sometimes at Chipotle, especially potentially more so before COVID started, they used to have like at least limes that you could get. Sometimes they would have them by the like soda machines, I think. So if you want to also, you know, drizzle some lemon or lime juice over your burrito bowl, that would be good too. All right, so this is all ready. So we're just gonna stir it until it's completely mixed. You could also, if you wanted, a lot of the times I don't want to pull out like my other like tools if I don't need to, right? You could blend this if you wanted. I don't think it necessarily needs it. It's not that hard to do, right? There are sometimes the cream cheese or sour cream can have some like little chunks, good chunks, but I'm not worried about it. So it kind of looks like, sorry, I got new lights, and so they're a little bit, I'm trying to learn the glare. Kind of looks like spicy mayo, but it is spicy sour cream. So we're just going to try a little bit. So it's got a nice little kick to it. So if you don't want something super spicy, maybe add 1 tablespoon of chipotle or of sriracha. But again, you don't necessarily have to make this. I thought it could be cool to follow the recipe and see if it was good. Because you could easily, right, just put like a dollop of sour cream. You could drizzle some sriracha on there or add extra salsa if you wanted. Or sometimes I like using the like taco sauce. That is also very tasty. So we're gonna set this aside. And then the only thing that we need to cut, I think, is the avocado. But I realize we haven't used an avocado before, so I'm super stoked. So again, I already washed this. My avocados are very soft. I've gotten like 4 last week. Didn't necessarily need that many. But if you're trying to ripen your avocados faster, you can always put them by bananas, and that seems to work. So normally the way that I cut an avocado is I will cut along the edge so that you get 2 halves. And be careful when you're doing this that you don't cut your hand. So then I'm easily able to turn it and open it up. The nice thing, hopefully this works, because sometimes it takes a few tries, to get the pit out, you can just take your knife and sort of tap it in and then turn it 90 degrees, and it just pops out like that. If you are, so like for example, I won't use all of this avocado right now, so I normally keep the pit with the avocado at least. In my mind at least, it helps preserve some of the freshness. But again, that's how you take it out really easily without having to like scoop around it. And sometimes when I'm making guacamole, I will also throw a couple pits in there so that it'll last a little bit longer and won't brown as easily. So, since I don't know how one avocado halved. Okay. Seemingly, this recipe makes 6 servings. So you would use a sixth of the avocado on each burrito bowl. I really like avocado, and like I said before, these things are super adaptable, so you can add as much as you want. So I'm going to add a quarter of the avocado. So I'm going to cut my half in half. Right, so now I have a quarter. And then what I normally do is you don't need to press like all the way down to cut through, but sorry, I'm trying to figure out the best placement for my fingers. So that you can actually see. So I normally like slice it. So I've made 4, it's probably real hard to see, 4 slices that way. And now I'm gonna make cuts the opposite way to really have like a dice. So I'm just gonna make cuts, oops, it's already coming out a little bit, this way to get a nice dice. And so again, I wasn't forcefully like pushing my knife all the way through. So then I can easily go like this and peel the skin off and pop the cubes out. So now I have some nice cubes of avocado. All right, cool. And then I'm going to save this for my burrito bowls for the next few days. The nice thing about this too, right, and reading some of these reviews is that people in, sometimes in your household you have some vegetarians, some vegans, some people who eat meat, and so it's nice this is adaptable to make it however you would like. So now we're going to build our bowls. So I'm going to take away my garbage for a minute. I'm going to grab a bowl so we can build. All right. One shameless plug before. You might see that I'm wearing a shirt that says Campus Vote Project. So today is Tuesday the 8th, and we are 8 weeks out from the election. So in some of our voter engagement work that we're doing, we are looking for one more fellow to join our team from the Campus Vote Project. So you would work with us on some voter engagement stuff on campus, or virtual campus, and you get paid. So if you are interested or want to learn more, feel free to email engagement@umich.edu. That's our Office of Student Life general email. If you have any questions about other things, always feel free to email that as well. Great. So we're just going to build. We don't need this anymore. So we're going to put some rice down first. So you can put as much rice or as little rice as you'd like. It's always hard to tell. But if you were splitting it up evenly, right, like 3 cups of rice plus a cup of, I would say about half a cup in each if you really wanted to like divide it equally. Let's see. To assemble, divide rice. Top with lettuce, corn, black beans, tomatoes, avocado, and cilantro. Again, we're not using cilantro, so I put my rice. I'm going to grab my greens. And again, use whatever greens you want. If you don't like greens, don't add them. Or if you wanted to make this is like a good, more or less like a taco salad too. If you wanted to put more greens on the bottom, go for it. So 3 cups of chopped lettuce. So it's again like about a half a cup of some sort of green. So again, this is already washed and everything. So I'm just gonna top this with some greens. Alright. And then since I don't have any spoons over here with me right now, I'm just gonna use my hands. But if you make sure your hands are clean if you're serving other people. So then I'm just gonna add some corn. Some black beans. And then I'm going to add some diced tomatoes. Very cool. And then I'm going to add my avocado. And then I'm going to grab my cream, what do they call it? Chipotle cream. I'm going to add that. We'll actually use a spoon for this. So feel free to you can either drizzle it. It's a little bit thick to drizzle, I think. So I just have some different blobs on here. That smells really good. And then I love cheese. I'm gonna add some cheese. Cheese on top. You could also chop up some fresh onions and peppers if you didn't have time to saute them. Sometimes I'll dice an onion and then put it in a bowl in the fridge and then be able to use that quickly all week. So now we have our very easy burrito bowls that are again super customizable. And you could, eat this with chips. You could eat it, I know at Chipotle, right? Sometimes you can get the tortilla on the side. Yeah, so super easy. You could, if you don't want to, or you don't want to just use avocado, you could, and you have an avocado, you could easily make guacamole. So I hope that you try this. If you do, let me know. Again, super customizable. We have most of these ingredients at the pantry for the base. So if you do want those ingredients, feel free in the form that you fill out, because we will be still pre-packing bags since you're not allowed in the UC. Feel free to say that you want stuff to make the burrito bowl. Thanks so much for joining. We're so happy to have you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment below after this is finished airing. If you are on while this is airing, I'm on the chat again, so if you want to message, I will answer right away. Next time, based on somebody's suggestion, we will be making chicken tortilla soup. So get stoked about that. If you have suggestions on things that we should be making during these cooking classes, please feel free to let me know. Always love suggestions. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye, y'all.